So last Wednesday, I was watching travel videos and really liked this one of Interlaken, Switzerland. So Thursday I got on a plane. I got to Zurich on Friday, and then I took a train to Interlaken. And I've been pretty jet lagged, slept erratically last night, and then took a nap. I'm still pretty tired, but feeling a little bit more normal. So I decided to take a walk through town, and I kind of started following the paragliders. And they're landing at this park somewhere sort of near the middle of the town. Swiss Alps in the background. This seems to be a pretty popular tourist thing out here. Later in the week I took a paragliding flight, but didn't get any actual video of it. I just wanted to enjoy the ride. There are a few more clips along this video of some more paragliders. I also took a hang gliding flight, which I do have some video of. I'm kind of partial to hang gliding because I have some history of it, thanks to my dad. It's hard to describe what a beautiful place this was to walk through. A lot of it reminded me so much of Disneyland. In fact, the Matterhorn Peak is not this one, but I think was only about 10 miles away from where I was. Things like this planter box reminded me of Disneyland too, just like something they'd have set up there. Obviously it's to attract tourists, but obviously that worked because here I was. The next day I decided to take a walk out to a waterfall. Took a bus over to the next town here, and the hike itself started a few minutes after this, and for 2 or 3 miles went right along the water. I'm not going to say the name of it because I don't know how. I'm getting wet. Woo! So I've been hiking for 3 miles to get here. Turns out you can drive, but you know, it's all about the journey. After the hike, I hung out at this restaurant for a while, had a little bite to eat. It was at the base of a pretty nice hotel, which I looked up and was about $400 a night. I was staying at the hostel for about $80, which I very much prefer. I ended up taking this train thing, pretty short ride straight down after the restaurant, and that way I didn't have to hike back. I got on this boat, which was more of a ferry that went around Bryan's Lake and had quite a few stops on its way back to Interlaken. In fact, it wasn't directly back to Interlaken, it was the long way, but I knew that and decided to take the ride anyway, just because it was nice. I can't quite tell, but this looks like a boat hot tub thing. Pretty sure that's what that is. This is in Bryan's. The inside of the ferry had this restaurant area. I sat here and had a latte, which was delightful. We ended up getting a little closer to this waterfall later, and it had this yellow thing at the bottom. I'm pretty sure it was to stop other boaters from getting too close to the bottom of the waterfall. So it's not always sunshine and roses with these paragliders. Hope nobody was hurt. This was the view from the window of the room that I stayed in Balmer's hostel. Pretty nice to be able to look out and see the mountains from here. Again, there were always paragliders, and I got really lucky with the weather when I was there. Although I did check the weather before I made the plan to go, and most of the week was like this, sunny and about 75 degrees. This is another view from just taking a walk along the road near the hostel. The paragliding instructor that I flew with told me that you actually can fly solo if you get an American paragliding rating and come to Switzerland. You do have to get some sort of insurance, which is understandable, and you have to have a P4, which is the highest level of paragliding rating. But nevertheless, I was pretty tempted flying out here, and it's pretty much the best possible scenery you can glide in. I kind of like to get my ratings and come back. I've never had any paragliding ratings. I did have I technically still do have a Hang 2 rating, which I haven't used in years, but that was nice to have during the hang gliding flight, which I did in a couple days. So I was just walking around. I was gonna rent a kayak over there, but kind of just walked in this little camp area. It said free entry, so I ended up taking a jump off that diving board that kid is on, and the water is a lot colder than I thought it was going to be, so I didn't last very long, but I'm glad I did it. And still gonna probably go look into boats or kayaks. Actually, I think I'm gonna go have a drink over there. Well, I asked about renting that thing, but he said it's private. So there were a ton of taps like this all over the lake because there was too much clean water coming down from the mountains into the lake. This was at a bus stop to take the bus back to Interlaken after my day over here, taking a quick dip. And when I got back to the hostel, they had a jacuzzi for free for anybody that's staying there. Quite a few perks to staying at that hostel. I would recommend it. Obviously this sucks. Next day I went hang gliding. There's of course a ton of paragliders set up at the launch here, and we walked down below it to set up the hang glider. The tandem instructor's name was Rich. Here he is taking the hang glider down, and he had his own camera, which I'll put in some of his video right here.
Hey everybody out there! Woo-woo! Alright, what's up guys? We're here in the Swiss Alps with Troy. He's hanging from Hawaii. And now we're about to go have some fun in the Swiss Alps here. All right hand right there. Harness up, grab a hold of this. Eyes out in the valley. Stand up nice and tall. Are you ready? Ready. 3, 2, 1, run.
It had been years since my last hang gliding flight, so it was really nice to be able to do it in such an amazing place and to have this instructor. You know, he was able to kind of guide things, but also he could tell that I had some sort of idea what was going on, so he was kind of letting me fly around a bit, showing me where to go, and we had a really good time. He showed me some pretty steep turns at the end. The camera didn't record for some reason, but we had a lot of fun. I remember someone telling me if you don't seek cranes in a city, then it doesn't have a good economy. I got to see a little more of the town on the day after the hang glide because I initially went to a few tourist shops and saw some Interlaken sweatshirts that I thought I'd like to buy, but they were about $70, so I thought it would be clever to walk across town to the thrift shop and maybe find one there. I didn't find an Interlaken sweatshirt. I did find a plain one for only 3 francs, which translates to about $3.50, and I got to see a lot more of the town than I would have otherwise. So it was still an eventful day. Looks like a storm a brewing. I've been walking around all day. Luckily, I'm 5 minutes from the hostel. I think it's supposed to rain. I thought I was hearing jets, but it's thunder up there. This was the only day I was there that there was any rain to speak of. I recorded this in the evening when I was having dinner right before I went to bed, and then we got quite a bit of rain overnight. And that became significant because the next day I decided to go up to Murin and do the Via Ferrata. I don't know if I'm saying that right, but the trip to Murin consisted of a bus, a train, a cable car, another train, and maybe another bus. Quite a long ride, and by the time I got there, even though it was nice and sunny, the Via Ferrata was quite affected by the rain. The Via Ferrata is a hike basically along the side of a cliff, and I've got some video of it coming up, but it became real slippery and muddy and became a lot more of a challenge than it might have been otherwise. That, and I was the only person not wearing hiking boots. Everybody else had hiking boots, and I had running shoes. I feel like I'm not going to make it on, but I guess they have enough room. The cable car from Lauterbrunnen to Murin was huge, very modern, and very impressive. It went up almost 45 degrees up these cliffs. You could see the waterfall and the valley on the way up. And once you got to the top, there was one more train to the starting point for the hike, if you can call it a hike. We're getting on the last train to Murin. Pretty old-fashioned looking. I guess it works.
Oh wow, this is a property.
This is one of those times where I kind of wonder why I'm taking a video, because I know there's 1,000 of them from this same spot. I got to Murin a little bit early for the Via Ferrata, so I had some time for some video. The Via Ferrata itself took over 3 hours, so I got very little of it on video, but I've got a few highlights here of my favorite parts. The rest of it was even more steep, but I didn't want to have my phone out. So, this is apparently a base jump point, which makes sense. Safety first. Oh, here we are. A real one. I don't see him. Oh, I see him. Wow. Woo! So cool. What a spot. All right, we're getting ready to do zip line.
Can you hang your two carabiners in a new loop? Easy. No problem. Okay.
Wonder how that happened. So far I was doing all this with my phone, so it was definitely in my pocket when we went across the cable bridge. We all had to do that one, which was arguably harder than the next one, which was longer, but actually was wide enough for your feet. Yeah, this one's got a place to put your whole foot. A little safety briefing for the bridge.
Not necessary.
Not necessary. Oh, okay. You're right.
So again, I didn't have my phone out on the bridge, but I did get one last glimpse of it on the cable car after the hike was done. The next day I signed up for an adventure called the Canyon Swing in Grindelwald. So with this one, they actually picked us up in Interlaken. This is some video I took from the company van, and when we got there they told us anything we didn't have in a zipper pocket we would lose. I didn't have any zipper pockets, so I left my phone, There was a guy in the group that had his phone. He got a little video of me coming up, and then the company sold a video which was very unfortunately recorded vertically, but I am going to include some of it because the look on my face was priceless. I was pretty excited to do this jump. The guy had everything hooked up and he brought me out onto the platform. What I didn't realize was this wasn't entirely swinging. The first few seconds of it was complete free fall before the rope actually started pulling you across. You can see here I tried to run because he was pushing everybody off and I didn't want to get pushed. But as I did that, he said, nope, you can't run off. And in retrospect, I think it's because I would have had even more free fall and probably would have been pulled by the rope at the bottom.
3, 2, 1. The next hit.
How was your jump? It was terrifying.
Was it?
I was totally confident and then I got scared shitless.
Yeah. But how are you feeling now after?
Excellent.
Nice.
Yeah.
Good job, man.
Thank you.
In case you missed it, the moment I was humbled. So this is some more footage just from the drive down from Grindelwald back to Interlaken. Some of the different adventures you sign up for, they pick you up from Interlaken. Some of them you have to find your way up like I did when I went up to Murin. But either way, it's pretty easy. The trains and cable cars are super easy to follow if you just open up Apple Maps or Google Maps and follow the directions. It was surprisingly easy to get around Switzerland. There's some sort of a paradox when it comes to making YouTube videos about places like this. You know, on the one hand, you want to share this with people. On the other hand, you don't want to let it get ruined. Basically, it can happen. It does happen when places get discovered, for lack of a better term, and overcrowded. So, as cliche as it sounds, don't be that guy. You know, if you do end up going to Interlaken, enjoy it, but leave it better than you found it. Be somebody that they're glad to see, not somebody that comes and trashes it and makes a scene. So, obviously that's all very subjective stuff, but it's something that I thought of a lot while I took some of these videos. So I can't go without saying it. I sure enjoyed my time here. Thanks for watching.